Yeah, that's a wooden phone. Okay, there's two things that you need to know about this video. The first thing is that I'm very tired. I've just got back from Abu Dhabi and I'm a bit jet lagged and just tired from being 44 years old, basically. So this video could go anywhere. Secondly, I've just worked out how old I am, basically, which is why I'm a bit flustered because it's frightening. Do you remember the Motorola Razr V3? It was the flip phone that your cool mates had. You might have been that cool mate, to be honest. I wasn't. I just kind of admired people that had that really cool flip phone back then. That was in 2004. I was 24 then as well. That's how old I am. That's frightening. Anyway, this is the latest iteration of the Razr. It's the Motorola Razr 60 Ultra. There's another one which is the non-Ultra version. This one is £1,099 in the UK and the regular Razr 60 is $799. This isn't going to be a standard review of this phone because you may have noticed there's a lot of them out there already, so I'm a little bit late to the post with this. Instead of sitting here and reeling off all of these specs, let's just put them on the screen now. I'm going to give you my, how many is it? 7 flip factors, which is basically 7 things that a flip phone needs to achieve to be worth buying, because they're not regular phones. They kind of do that and they're little and then they're big. And also you can take photos on the front screen with the main camera, but then you do have to keep doing that. It's very satisfying when you go, they just need some explanation basically, but there's 7 flip factors which they have to nail. And I think the Razr 60 Ultra is the first flip phone I've ever used that pretty much nails all 7 of those factors. Let's get into them. Flip factor 1 is it well built? And the reason that's important, in fact it's the most important thing on this list, is because the screen bends. Most smartphone displays are just like that. They're kind of like that all the time. This one does that, which means, well, 2 things. Firstly, the display is bending, which means it needs to be capable of bending and unbending itself without disintegrating, basically. And secondly, we have a hinge. And that hinge, over time, let's say you keep this phone for 2 years, it's going to get a lot of that. And you need confidence when you're doing that. And trust me, I've used some flip phones in the past, not recently to be fair, but certainly over the last couple of years, 2 or 3 years, which you worry about, and they make strange noises when you open them and all that sort of stuff. This doesn't. This gives you the confidence you need. And there's one test that I have for this, which is, if you can do that and it's fine and it feels confident and there's no crunchy noises when you close it again, you're in good hands. The Razr 60 Ultra is an incredibly well built flip phone. So for the flip factor 1, it absolutely nails it. Flip factor 2 is it cool, which makes me sound ancient, I know, but it's a really important part of these flip phones because I think a lot of the desire around owning one of these is it looking, I nearly said trendy. They have to look trendy. They have to be on trend and all that sort of stuff. And what's been interesting with the Razr 60 Ultra is that I've taken it with me on a couple of trips, a couple of press trips where I've been mixing with very cool influencers, people who have hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of followers in fashion and lifestyle, all that sort of stuff. Not a lot of them, 2 or 3 of them basically, spotted this and said, what is that? And for me, that completely nails flip factor 2 because I can't comment on this. I can't comment on what's on trend and that sort of stuff. I love the fact this one has a wooden back. There are different versions. We'll put the different versions down here. The fact that this is wooden is just so unique and it just looks so trendy. But anyway, but the fact that those guys, the fact that I've met people who are much cooler than me who think this is on trend, well, Motorola has nailed flip factor 2. Flip factor 3 is it easy to live with? And this is very, very important because I think a lot of the novelty around a flip phone can disappear. It can evaporate very quickly once you start getting bored of opening it and then closing it. And sometimes if the specs aren't up to scratch, slowness, sluggishness, if it's jittery to use, if all that stuff creeps in, you'll get bored of it and you won't enjoy living with it. And equally, going back to the build quality, if that's not up to scratch either, you will very quickly get bored of it. I'm happy to say that the Razr 60 Ultra is very easy to live with. Firstly, a flip phone is very easy to travel with. So if you do lots of traveling, the fact that that just goes into your pocket and disappears pretty much is wonderful. And you can do so much stuff on the front display as well. You can do pretty much anything. You can take photos, you can check your calendar, you can browse YouTube, you can go through your photos, you can use the calculator. You don't really have to open it that often. So if you're just, walking around or traveling through an airport and need to do something quickly, you don't even have to open this thing up. However, when you do open it up, you then realize that it has the Snapdragon 8 Elite chip, which means it's got a flagship chip in there, and it's incredibly fast. The display, both displays actually are very fast and bright. It's a lovely thing to use. And you can open it. Can you open it one-handed? You can. That's the other thing about flip factor. What number was it? 3. It's very easy to live with because partly, well, you can do this. You can. I'm just tired. Before we get into Flip Factor 4, which is a very big one for a lot of people, a quick word from today's sponsor, which is RoboForm. If you're still storing all of your usernames and passwords in a spreadsheet, or worse still, you're using the same password for everything, you need a password manager, and RoboForm is the most affordable and one of the most fully featured password managers I've found. It works across all devices, so Android, iOS, Windows, Mac, and they have a no breach history, so you have no worries there whatsoever. If you need to set up a new password, it does it for you automatically and creates a very secure password. You can share passwords with colleagues and friends. There's an emergency access feature, so if something goes wrong and you can't access your vault, you can give access to someone who you trust. And they have a one-click login feature, which does exactly what it says on the tin. One click and you're straight into your favorite website or app. And the best news is I have an awesome deal for you. It's almost unbelievable, this, guys, and it's a very popular deal for that reason. So go and click that link down below. Flip Factor 4 is the crease, which you will get on any flip phone in 2025. We still haven't reached a point where manufacturers can get rid of that completely. The good news is on the Razr 60 Ultra, it's there, you can see it because you can see it. You can see all of these creases. The key thing is that you can't feel it very much. And more importantly, it doesn't damage that's the wrong word. It doesn't get in the way of using this phone at all. And people get very obsessed about this. There's 8 billion Reddit threads out there with people complaining about creases on phones like this. Just get a normal phone, guys. Get over yourselves. There's a crease on this phone, but it's very, very minimal. And that is, well, it means basically that Flip Factor 4, which sounds like a terrible band, has been passed by Motorola. Flip Factor 5 is the camera system. Is it any good? Yes, it is. We have a 50 megapixel main camera, a 50 megapixel ultra wide with macro capabilities, and a 50 megapixel selfie camera inside here, which you probably won't use very often because you can take photos on this front facing screen, which is brilliant because you're using the main 50 megapixel camera. So that makes quite a big difference. And it's very addictive doing this. Taking selfies like this is wonderful. So immediately it's a fun camera to use. Okay, we do have some limitations here, so it doesn't go beyond 2x optical zoom. Anything beyond that is digital. Given the choice, I'd much rather have a 3, possibly a 5x zoom in the future, please, Motorola. That would be fantastic. But I think for the market that is buying this, I don't think that matters. While we're talking about the camera system, gesture controls. Motorola has invented somehow 2 gesture controls that I can't stop using. The first one is this, which gets you into the camera. Really handy. The second one is this, which turns on the light. Brilliant. There are more, but those are the 2 that I can't stop using. I took this to Abu Dhabi with Motorola a couple of weeks ago. No, last week. Well, I've just got back from there. Brilliant. And it was great because we were taking photos in a very challenging environment, which was a basketball arena. Very bright lights, very bright court and dark surroundings, and it dealt with it very, very well. And I have taken some great photos away from Abu Dhabi as well of my family and where I live. It's just a fun camera system to use. And it's even got a camcorder mode, so you can open it like that and hold it like again, this makes me sound very, very old, but like a camcorder. And fun, again, great, why not? Camera system, again, for what number was it? Flip Factor 5, top job. Flip Factor 6 is the battery. Is it any good? Yes, it is. It gets you well beyond a day, and the standby time is bonkers. It is as good as any Android phone I've used. And the reason I say that, the reason I'm making a point of saying that is because some flip phones aren't very good when it comes to battery for some reason. This one is very, very good. Flip factor 7 is it worth the money? And this is the big one because, as mentioned earlier, flip phones are an acquired taste and the novelty can wear off fairly quickly. However, if you are in the flip camp already and this is an upgrade, or if you've convinced yourself that you need one, which is entirely your decision, the good news is the Razr 60 Ultra is the best one I've ever used. And that's because it's passed all of my flip factor things, which is quite a feat, to be honest. It's over to you now, guys. I want to know, are you tempted by the Razr 60 Ultra? The fact you're watching this video suggests you might be. So get involved in the comments, and if you haven't hit subscribe yet and you've enjoyed this video, he says trying to get his words out without falling asleep at this table, please click that button. Give it a like as well because it makes a massive difference, guys. I'm off to bed. See you later.